The teams are in for the match between Essendon and Richmond on Saturday night, and in the fight for truth, justice and the Essendon way, there are a couple of changes, and we're going to go through it all in this video.
See the Bombers fly up to win the Premiership flag. Our boys who play this mighty game always strive for glory and fame.
So there are 3 changes for the Bombers. Richmond have made a few changes as well. We'll just go through the Richmond side first, just quickly. 5 changes for them. James Trezise, Tyler Young, Taj Houghton, Jacob Kazitsky and Jaden Short. Taj Houghton is a first gamer for Richmond. This is their home game. Of course, out as predicted and as required by law, Noah Bolter. Sam Lawler, unfortunately, has a hamstring injury. Jasper Alger, Hugo Ralphsmith did his hamstring last week, and Jacob Blight. That is the Richmond side. So for Essendon, and these are, well, there's 2 that are not surprising, and one that was a little bit surprising was announced yesterday. So Oskar Smartt is making his debut, so congratulations to him. He is a small forward. For those that didn't know, we picked him up in the mid-season draft as one of 4 players. He was playing for our VFL side, so he is used to playing with and training with some of the guys and knows them. He's got a good eye for a goal, so hopefully he can snag one on the weekend. We also have Mason Redman coming back from injury and Elijah Tsatas coming in, which was predicted as Jai Caldwell was injured, and also Darcy Parish. So this is obviously a good idea. And we hope that Tsatas can produce and show what he's capable of, because a lot of us have been calling for this for a long time. So out of the side, Archie Perkins is out of the side. I think this is probably a good move. He hasn't really been producing. And look, it's not necessarily a knock or anything. Sometimes it's just good to go back to the reserves and see if you can find some form. And, you know, look, he might be a player that might not make it. We just have to be honest. He might not, but he's got athletic ability. He's got, you know, he's got certain attributes that are good for the game, but he just can't put it all together. And he just needs a few games in the VFL. He's an explosive player. Brad Scott has brought this up before. He can play the game, but he just struggles, I think, with the mental side of the game a little bit, transitioning from you know, forward to defence when we have the ball, and then when we lose the ball, he always seems a bit lost out there. That's the way I would describe Perkins. He does seem like he's a bit lost occasionally. Jade Gresham as well is out. Look, to be fair to Jade Gresham, he probably deserves to have a stint in the reserves. He didn't get much of a go last week, though. He came on as a sub and, you know, played about 10 minutes when the game was over. So, I mean, you couldn't really, you know, base last week's game on that. You're really basing his omission on what he produced before that. He can't really, you know, only played 15 minutes of the game. So, the other out, of course, is Jai Caldwell. So if we go through the Essendon team from the back line to the forward line, we have Archie Roberts, Jaden Laverty and Andrew McGrath in the back line. Angus Clark, Jordan Ridley and Mason Redman returns. Across the centre, we have Luaman Lual, who played really well last week. I mentioned in a previous video, I was surprised when I saw that he only had 10 possessions. I think he probably had most of those in the first half. He really looked like he belonged in that first half. His energy and his skill level and everything he was doing was good. So really impressed with that. I wonder if he can play somewhere else other than the wing. Can he play forward? Well, I don't know, but he's been producing on the wing so far, so that's good. Zach Merritt in the centre and Xavier Dersma has been picked. Obviously, that's a bit of a watch. He had the back spasms last week just before the game, so we'll just keep that in mind. Forward line, Nick Martin. Please stay there, Nick, in the forward line. We do average 5 more goals per game when he plays in the forward line. Nate Caddy and Will Setterfield named there. But look, you can take these positions for what you want. Setterfield probably ends up maybe playing a midfield role or some sort of a tagging role on perhaps someone like a Taranto. But we'll see. And across the forward line, Isaac Kako, Peter Wright and Archer May. So with May, kicked 3 goals last week in that third quarter. Fantastic there. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult for McMahon to get into the side just because we've got those talls down there. May, Wright and Caddy probably need someone to get injured. I probably think on merit he deserves to get in there, but I understand with the way the team is structured. I did make a previous video yesterday about flexibility in the team and, you know, picking your best team and then sort of, you know, making players flexible enough to be able to fit inside it. But I'd like to see at some point before the end of the year, I'd like to see McMahon get a go, especially at the age of 23. He's a senior player in terms of body development and age and that sort of thing. So I'd love to see that. Followers, Todd Goldstein, Elijah Tsatas in the ruck rover role, and Sam Durham, who played fantastic last week. Durham and Merritt had between them 35 contested possessions, so that was really good. And the interchange bench is Ben Hobbs, Jackson Pryor, Zach Johnson, Lachlan Blackiston, and Oskar Smartt. So I look at those 5 on the bench and I wonder who's going to be the sub. I hope it's not Oskar Smartt. I hate it when players are named as, for their first game and are playing as the sub. It's just something I don't like. You just look at them. I don't think Blackiston would be the sub because you normally pick a running player. Jackson Pryor probably, has been playing sort of those roles in the back line. So it's probably out of Hobbs, Johnson and Smart. I think Hobbs probably is the one it should be. Oskar Smartt as well, just because he's playing in that small forward role, maybe not as suited to being a sub as perhaps being that sort of more midfield role. So hopefully he can play. I'd actually like to see the sub totally gone next year, and I think the AFL is headed that way, to be honest. None of the coaches like it, and there's no real intrigue with it. It's not like anyone looks and wonders, who's the sub? Like it's some sort of, revelation or anything. It's normally just the 23rd best player or the 23rd ranked player on your list. And really, I think they're just going to move to 5 on the bench next year. That would be my prediction as to what they're going to do. So that's the team. Actually looks like a pretty reasonable team on paper. It's still very young, but I suppose in comparison to the Richmond team, we should be beating them in this match. Richmond are very inexperienced, 5 changes as well to their side, and there's really no excuses for us this week. And I liked our energy last week against the Gold Coast, and I think you would have to say under Brad Scott this year, with the exception of a couple of matches where we were just totally outclassed by Geelong and the Bulldogs, and I suppose you'd throw that Adelaide game in round 2. Generally, the effort's been there. We just haven't quite been good enough. And that's really all you can ask as a supporters. And if we put in the type of effort that we showed last week against the Gold Coast, I think we should win this game. Because Richmond, I think, have shut up shop for the year. And I don't think we've shut up shop for the year. I mean, obviously we can't make the finals, but I think we are still going out there, to try to win games. And I think Brad Scott is looking at this year as a bit of an experimental year. We obviously have had 12, people debut this year now, and there's still a few weeks to go. So, and we've changed, I think, the way we play a couple of times. We certainly altered the way we played last week against the Gold Coast. Damien Hardwick mentioned it in his press conference. So I'd really like to see us continue that attacking style of play that we showed against the Gold Coast last week, because it would be a shame to revert back to that, chip possession game, which just really wasn't working for us. So I don't think we've shut up shop. I think we're very much like using these games as a platform for next year. And there's an opportunity. I mean, players are playing for their careers out there, and there's a lot of young players, if not in their first game, but in their first, second, third, fourth, fifth game, these sort of things, who are trying to make their mark. And I think that's why the team is, for the most part, playing with a little bit of enthusiasm, and you'd have to say last week quite a bit of heart. So I'd like to see that continue, and if we do that, we should win. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you'll be going to the game. I will be at the game as usual, and I will be posting my review on Saturday night. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.